Pop is a light brown bear with red bathrobes, a red hat, and he is often seen using a pipe. CUB is also a light brown bear with a propeller beanie and a diaper with a safety pin. This video is about every visual change that both Pop and CUB have had since the beginning. This seems to be the earliest version of Pop, due to the pipe and of course his hat. Here is the look for Pop that we know today, and compared to the previous concept art, he now has bathrobes. And here is the first version of CUB. Notice the beanie, diaper, and his eyes are made of Pac-Man shaped pupils, just like CUB that we know today. Having the Ball is the first episode with Pop and CUB. Pop is now coloured, has buck teeth, and his bathrobe belt can now be seen tied together around his waist. CUB is also coloured, but CUB now has a safety pin on his diaper. Later in the episode, CUB can be seen with pouches around his waist. We next go to Season 2. In Snip Snip Hooray, Pop pulls CUB's beanie off, and he has a large amount of hair underneath. Pop accidentally cuts off CUB's ear, and he then covers the area with bandages. CUB has devil horns in Outer Sight Outer Mime. In What a Way to Go, CUB is injured by a can of soda, and he has two large plasters on his face. CUB is wearing a rubber ring in Let It Slide. Pop causes CUB to have multiple injuries in stealing the spotlight, and he is seen with two plasters on his face. In the DVD called Second Servants, in Kringle Presents and Kringle Feast, the colour of the propeller on CUB's beanie is a shade of red. We now enter the TV series. Pop and CUB's standard design barely changes, as they simply just have a new updated look. And we first see their new looks in From Here to Eternity. CUB loses his lower torso in the episode And the Kitchen Sink, and towards the end he has bandages around the bottom of what's left of his torso. I don't know if I should really make this count, but CUB is wearing Handy's eyes in Don't Yank My Chain. Pop is wearing fishing overalls in Every Little Bit Hurts. In Easy Comb Easy Go, egg growth formula lands on CUB's head and he grows a lot of hair. And in the TV series Volume 3 DVD, it's extremely hard to see, but CUB either has his large amount of hair back or he is wearing a wig, which I think the latter is more likely. In Read 'em a Wheat, which is part of Season 3, a demon jumps inside CUB's body, which causes CUB's fur to change to two shades of green, or what seems to be visible veins. His eyes become round and has white circles with a dark shadow around them. In Wrath of Khan, Pop is wearing a pass, and CUB is also wearing a pass and has a mask that looks like the Banjo Frenzy version of Lumpy. Pop is dressed as Santa in Clause for Concern, and CUB puts a sack over his head. Their designs does not change during Season 4, but they do appear in CUB John Z, which came out during this time. Pop and CUB are made out of paper. CUB dies and Pop creates a robot CUB, or turned him into a cyborg by using CUB's brain. I'm not really sure which one is correct. In Going Out with a Bang in Season 5, CUB is wearing a child harness, which is CUB's last unique look in the show. Pop and CUB's last appearances is in A Handy Nanny. This is also Pop's last unique look, and is wearing a bowling shirt. Handy arrives at the house to be a babysitter for CUB, but CUB and Handy become injured. At the end, Pop arrives home with a trophy and knocks over a fan that kills Handy. Pop then gives a pacifier with Handy's eye attached to CUB, making this their last appearances in the show.